And Mr. Nathan, thanks for your testimony today. Very interested in the work of DFC countering the Belt and Road Initiative. I want to kind of follow up from the line of questioning from Mr. McCall, Mr. Shabbat, Mr. Muser about DFC's unique role in countering BRI. I was disappointed that in your prepared testimony, while you reference some projects in the Indo-Pacific and Africa that have the effect of countering Belt and Road, that we didn't lead off. My view is that DFC should be leading its mission with a strategy to counter the Belt and Road Initiative, and it should be certainly not just mentioned in your prepared testimony, but front and center and a major focus. So let me drill down a little bit on some of these investments that could advance our national security. DFC, in fact, has a unique responsibility written into its establishment that its investments should, quote, complement and be guided by overall U.S. foreign policy development and national security objectives. Are there commercially viable projects that DFC will not participate in because of their involvement with fossil fuels?
So there are a lot of criteria that we would have to meet before considering investment. First, is it in a country that we're eligible to work?
Right, and you mentioned Sierra Leone and the gas project there.
Right, and then beyond that, any sort of large-scale infrastructure or energy project is going to require extensive screening to make sure it complies with the standards necessary.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, but we know that China has no issue building coal-fired power plants and using fossil fuels. And my question is, would it be in contravention of our national security objectives, as written in your mandate, to deny a country seeking U.S. partnership for a commercially viable project solely because it involves fossil fuels when we know China is all too happy to fill the gap?
So every situation is going to require a facts and circumstances analysis, but I totally take your point that we need to be looking, to use the Wayne Gretzky phrase, where the puck is going here.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've charged our team with internally, consulted with the intelligence community and our interagency partners to make sure that we're thinking about where to be looking for deals for precisely the type of reason that you're mentioning. And
Mr. Nathan, I am open to helping you on your scoring problem with equity investments, but I want you to understand that members of Congress who want to help you help your mission, important mission, your national security mission, that you are focused on Belt and Road. You're focused on countering the Belt and Road Initiative with these equity investments and competing with China, including China's debt trap diplomacy with respect to fossil projects, because that's one of the ways, and if we do not enter that space, they're going to be polluting a lot more than we would be in fossil energy. We need to be exporting American fossil energy technology and displacing Chinese dirty fossil energy generation. And I think that's the mentality DFC should have. In your confirmation hearing, you pledged to review DFC funding of projects using Chinese-sourced solar panels manufactured with forced labor. What's the status of that?
Thanks for that question. We've consulted, the DFC team has consulted extensively with the relevant committee staff on both sides of Congress. We've updated our procedure to be in line with the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which, although it doesn't directly apply to the activities that DFC finances abroad, it's a standard that we're now using. The Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force has just begun its work and is issuing a report. There will be information that comes out of that that we will use for determining what projects we would or wouldn't fund.
I accept and acknowledge the Biden administration's focus on the climate issue, but let's not allow our obsession with green energy, renewable energy, compromise our national security, our human rights policies. They should not be in conflict. And so we ought to, where fossil energy makes sense for our national security, we ought to pursue it. When pursuing renewables doesn't make sense from a human rights perspective, we should not pursue it. And I want that to be the mentality of DFC. And Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an op-ed from Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni from the Wall Street Journal discussing the dangers of cutting off developing nations from reliable sources of energy.
Without objection.
Thank you. Final question. Do I have time?
Gentleman's time has expired.
So many questions. We'll come back to you, and thank you for your service. I yield back.
I now recognize Representative David Cicilline of Rhode Island for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to you and